When the lights go out, we're the last ones standing.
Hey guys, welcome back, Bushcraft family, with another video. And today, I've done videos, if you run out of power, you last 7 days, this and that. We're doing it a little bit different this time. Could you survive 30 days with no gas? Oh, that's fine. I can just walk to the store and stuff like that. But imagine waking up in the morning, you get dressed, grab your keys, jump in your vehicle, and you head to the gas station. You get to the gas station and there's a problem. They got bags over each of the pumps, where the nozzle and whatnot. Sign says no gas. So, must be maintenance or something, You don't think much about it. And then you drive to another gas station down the road. Same thing. Then another. And then it's starting to sink in. Nothing. And this isn't going to last a couple hours, not a day, not even a week. For the next 30 days, there is no gas, and you think, we'll be okay. We can send out and stuff, and but could you survive? Because this wouldn't just mean you couldn't drive your vehicle around for 30 days. A 30-day fuel disruption could affect almost everything around you. Food, medicine, emergency services, farming, deliveries, generators, and eventually your ability to stay where you live. Today, we're going to go walk through what those 30 days could actually look like. What you can start doing right now to prepare for something like that. And it's not far-fetched, way things are going nowadays, it's hard to say when this could happen. Now, I'm not saying it would happen like instantly, like you go to the gas station and everything shut down, but it could happen, something similar to that. So let's get started. We're going to go day 1 through day 3. The first day probably wouldn't look like the end of the world. Most people would assume they'll be fixed tomorrow, but word starts spreading. Gas stations are running out. People immediately start topping off their vehicles. Lines form, and the gas stations that still have fuel, they're hammered. One person after another one is lining up to get that fuel. People aren't just fueling their vehicles, they're filling gas cans. You'll see the weird videos of the ladies with the plastic bags that they're filling up. Generators, ATVs, farm equipment, everything that can. Within hours, you could see a gas station completely drained in no time at all. And here's where preparedness matters. If your vehicle normally sits around a quarter tank, you've already got a problem. Rule 1 is a half a tank is an empty tank. That's the best way to look at it. Once you reach a half a tank, start thinking about filling that thing up. Because when an emergency happens, the last place you want to be sitting for 2 to 3 hours is in a line waiting to get gas. Just because you may have a bug out place or a family retreat area, property somewhere family member has that everybody is supposed to meet at. Now, if you can't get there, that means you have to walk. And unless you're ready to put in some miles and some time and worry about where you're sleeping along the way and, food and hygiene and all that stuff, you want to have that gas already in your vehicle. Okay, let's go ahead and jump to days 4 through 7. This will end up the week. By the end of the first week, people start realizing there's something going on, Gasoline isn't just about getting to work, or entire modern system depends on transportation. Think about the grocery store. Food doesn't magically appear on shelves like everybody thinks. As soon as you buy stuff, they have a case of it on top and they've got a bunch of food in the back. Technically, and you should already know this from 2020, grocery stores only carry a 3-day supply of food or of product. Trucks bring it there, and trains bring it to where the trucks are, and boats bring it to the country. Warehouses move it from one warehouse to the store. Farm equipment operates and gets the produce from the farm, and then it's delivered. It's a process. Delivery vehicles have to run on something, and if there is no gasoline, they don't deliver. And even if diesel fuel remains available, major gasoline shortages can still cause serious problems because millions of workers rely on gasoline-powered vehicles just to keep systems operating. Now, imagine millions of people suddenly can't get to work reliably. The grocery store employee, the nurse, mechanics, warehouse workers, utility workers, delivery drivers, local police, sheriff department, your police department. There's an emergency. They have no gas in their vehicles to get there. They're going to stay home. People start calling off of work because they just can't waste the fuel to go to work. They got to have what they have for generators and, emergency to get out of where they're at. And now something else happens. This is a week in, something major is going to happen, and it's panic buying. Yep. Okay, we're going to go to week 2 of this fun scenario. This is when things could get very ugly. People realize their problem isn't just ending anytime soon. So everybody heads to the store. Water, bread, milk, canned food, rice, beans, batteries, propane, charcoal, medicine, pet food. People start buying everything just so they'll have enough for the next few days. or month. But here's the problem. If you're not already preparing during, or if you're, let me rephrase this. If you're preparing during an emergency, it's already too late. You know, that food is not going to last you very long. That's why I talk about building a pantry now. Uh, say you go to the store and your family has ate corn, and you go to the store to get corn, and you buy one can. Well, that replaces the can that you had. But the ideal thing is, instead of buying that one can to replace the one you just used, buy 3 or buy 4. That way you have those 3 extra cans that you can put back. And every time you do that, eventually you're going to have a lot more food. You don't need thousands of dollars worth of survival food. You know, you'll get these extremely large YouTube prepper channels that tell you to buy, all this frozen, freeze-dried food and all that stuff. Yeah, we all had millions of dollars, and on top of it, that stuff is horrible for you. You, for just a fraction of what those things cost. Well, even one of those meals, you could feed a family for a week. Just saying. Just buy a little at a time. If rice is on sale, grab it. Rice, unless you don't eat rice, then don't buy it. Find another cheap source of food that's on sale. Sometimes I'll just go into the store and just look for sales, and I won't buy anything else. I'm there just for sales. Eventually, before you know it, you'll have 30 days of food sitting in your pantry. And before you know it, it's going to catch on to you, and you'll say, "Oh, I can do 30 days. I know I can do 6 months. Let's go," And eventually you're going to get into the gist of it, and you'll start realizing it's just not preparing. I'm actually saving money, when they have a sale on canned goods, instead of just buying what I need for that day or that week, I can buy enough for that month, Anyways, let's move on. What about work? Here's something people don't think about. How are you getting to work? Maybe you live 5 miles away, maybe 20, maybe 50. If you've only got a half a tank of gas left and you're going to burn it by driving back and forth every day, that's a decision millions of people or families will face. And if you can't work, you don't get paid. Now, you've got another emergency developing. Rent, mortgage payment, utilities, credit card bills, insurance. All these bills keep coming, whether there's gasoline or not. That's why being financially prepared is part of prepping too. Even a small emergency fund can make a huge difference. Okay, now we're going into week 3. And this is where the emergency services start to dwindle. Now you're getting into into dangerous territory. And I'm talking about police departments, fire departments, ambulances, utility crews, your local courthouse, that type of thing. Many agencies maintain a fuel reserve, but that's not going to last very long. Once the reserves aren't there, if a disruption lasts long enough, the government would likely prioritize available fuel for critical services. Like say in your county, you have a major city in each of your counties. Say they're going to prioritize that city to keep the utilities going, like the water and stuff. And the same thing with the government. They're gonna keep their government going as long as possible, and then start worrying about the other people. Which we, as us, we're at the bottom of the list. That's why your plan can't be, the government will bring what I need. The government will help me. The government's always there to help us little people. Those sayings are, ask the people who live through in that, hurricanes, floods, and stuff like that. Yeah, the government's there to help. Your house is floating down the river, but here's $750. You're good. What about your generator? This is a big one for preppers. You've got a generator, great. But how much gasoline do you have to actually run it? Let's say your generator burns about a half a gallon of gas per hour, depending on the size of your load and how much you're trying to get out of it. And you run it for 8 hours a day. That's roughly four gallons a day. Over 30 days, that's 120 gallons. Everybody thinks of, oh, I got this much water, I have this much gasoline. But when you actually figure it out for a 30-day period, that's a lot. Just like water for one person, bare minimum is a gallon of water a day. Okay. 30 days, that's 30 gallons of water. You multiply that by, if you have 5 people in your family, that's a lot of gasoline or a lot of water. Same thing with gasoline. And storing a huge amount of gasoline is its own safety risk. Legal issues with, neighbors and all that stuff, and insurance, all that fun stuff, But maybe the answer isn't just buy more gas. Maybe the answer is reducing how much fuel you need. Run the generator only when necessary. Keep the generator, or keep refrigerators and freezers cold by, other means, solar, charging batteries, and, that kind. Now let's move on to week 4. By week 4, something interesting has happened. Your world has gotten much, much smaller. You're not driving 30 miles because you're bored. You're not making 3 trips to the grocery store every week. You're not running into town because you forgot an ingredient. You're staying home. You're planning every trip and making sure, you gotta go here and go there or whatnot. Or, you may be out of gas. You have to walk. And communities could start becoming important again. Maybe your neighbor has eggs. You can do some trading. You've got plenty of canned vegetables. Other neighbors have firewood. You know, someone else knows how to repair equipment. You start trading things for labor or stuff like that. And um, that's something we have gotten away from in our modern society right now. Communities survive, sometimes the community can be the bad thing too. Uh, so could you survive for 30 days? Here's a challenge I want everybody to watch while watching this video to do. Go outside, look at your vehicle, look how much gasoline you've got right now. Then imagine that's the last gasoline you will have in your vehicle for 30 days. What changes? How are you going to get food? How are you going to get medicine? How are you getting to work? How are you heating and cooling your home? How are you running your generator? How much fuel do you have to run your generator for that 30 days? Could you stay home for 30 days? Not have to go to the store, no toilet paper, no getting this or that. That's a real preparedness test for you, because prepping isn't just predicting exactly what emergency will happen. That's why we have these videos where we talk about this or that, or get you thinking. Ooh, you never know, that might happen. It's all about building enough resilience that when the unexpected happens, you aren't immediately in trouble. Like, oh, maybe I should have did this, and maybe I should have done that. You know, it gets a little scary once you think about it. Not being able to go to the store for a whole month, or you check your prescription and you only have 5 pills. That's enough for a week or 2 days. How are you going to get it? You can walk down there. You get down there and there's a sign saying close, no deliveries. What do? If you're just coming across this video and you don't have 30 days of food, or you don't even know what 30 days of food looks like, this is the opportunity to start thinking about that. Do you have 30 days of food in your house so that you don't have to go to the store, walk to the store, and stand in line where people are ripping things off the shelves and slamming carts into you and stealing your food in the store? And that's just in the store. Wait until you get out of the store where it's even worse. This is when you start thinking about building 30 days, And it used to be, let's go for a week. Let's go 2 weeks. Now, I think we're at the point to where you need to start thinking about building 30 days. If you're just starting out, what are you going to need for that 30 days? Say you just have, say you're just going to work on water, because me, I'm real stickler for the water thing. a gallon of water per person per day. Figure that out for 30 days. That's a lot of water. That's a lot of water. And that's just for that. That doesn't count for using the toilet or taking a bath and washing your clothes or anything like that. Once you start thinking of, okay, how much rice would I need for a month? How much vegetables will I need for a month? How much meat do I need for a month? You know, and again, you don't have to make all this stuff or have all this stuff. Just gradually, every time you go to the store, is get extra cans of this, extra cans of that. Oh, I used a can of chicken this week, so I need to go get another can to replace that by 3, by 4. Then you have extra, and always keep track of it so you can rotate it out. But anyways, I am going to go ahead. There's so much we could talk about this cooking, power management. If the utilities shut off, that's a whole other story. This is just the bare minimum what we're scratching at. And I want to talk about this on live Wednesday, 8 o'clock on my channel. We're going to go over this a little bit more of, cooking, cleaning, being sanitary and all this stuff for that 30 days, just 30 days, and it could always go much longer than that. Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and let you guys go. Other than that, like always, God bless.